So this overview is about how to make color isolation using Photoshop, but starting in Lightroom. So it's really easy. It won't take too long to figure out the technique, but refining it is really what's going to make the photo great. And remember, color isolation is best done when it's actually emphasizing the subject. It's not just having a color and isolating it, which is fine. It just doesn't really get to the point of helping to emphasize something, which is the goal. So we're going to check this out. Now, I've already created a folder called Color Isolation. You want to make sure you're always organized in Lightroom. It helps a lot. And so I have two photos in here. I have this one that I want to isolate the Crusaders because that's kind of the most important thing here that I want to emphasize. I also want to emphasize this flower here. This one, of course, is pretty straightforward. The Crusaders one is a little bit trickier, which you'll see in a second. So in Lightroom, you can do some level of color isolation. I find it to be a little bit clunkier. So for instance, if I go to here, I can scroll down. Let me move my head here. I can move down and I can drop all the colors out of here. And let's say I want to make just Crusaders pop out. I can do this and get rid of all the colors and emphasize the yellows. And I've kind of done it there. It kind of works. It's not bad or anything. But I'm also getting the yellow from the net up here. I'm getting some yellow in the grass, and I'm getting some kind of yellow-green in the trees, even though I've turned my green all the way down. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to reset those edits. There we go, back to normal. And instead, what I want to do is, I might have reset all of them there, actually. Let me go back here. Let me just reset. There we go. I want to keep my initial edits. I'm going to right-click and say Edit in Photoshop. Edit in Photoshop. It's going to open up Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop open already, it's going to take an extra second. My computer's pretty fast, so it gets moving, which is nice. All right, so here's the same picture. Now, the easiest way to do this is you could simply go to Adjustments. So if you don't see this up here, there's Properties, Adjustments, Libraries. If you don't see any of this, if you go up to Window, make sure Adjustments on, and it should appear here, or it'll appear over here. You can nest it in here. All right, so with my background image, what I can do is go black and white, and it turns the whole thing black and white. And again, I could do exactly what I just said. I can adjust some of these things, and I can really hone in the colors I want. Now, the cool reason you'd want to do it this way is because now what I can do is we all understand what a mask is, hopefully, but if we don't, a mask lets us cut through to what's below it. So by using our brush and selecting black because it's white, so the opposite, I'm going to do it really kind of grossly so you can see it. I could just paint over this and you can start to see if my color's yellow. I can make it, really roughly kind of yellow. And you'll notice, of course, I'm doing this so sloppily that I'm also getting some green behind it. And so I have two options right there. One, I could just scroll in here and I could choose white and I could clean this up. And that's fine. It's going to take you some time, but that's totally reasonable. If you have extra time and you want to do it that way, you could totally do that and work with your mask that way. However, I'm going to show you how I would do it. I'm going to delete that mask and instead I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up to my selection tool. It's the quick tool W. And if I zoom in on each letter and I just click it once, it'll do a pretty good job of isolating it. Okay, so just left clicking it once. And again, it's smart to zoom in here. And if there's, I should say, if there's a lot of contrast, it'll do it well. If there's not a ton of contrast, it might struggle on it. You see it struggled a little bit on this white, but if I just kind of keep clicking and it's a plus, if I see a plus kind of in the middle, then it's going to do it. Now, here on the athletes, it's going to give us a little bit of trouble, but that was actually pretty good. Not a huge deal. I have a hand here, so if I want to get rid of the hand, on my keyboard, I hold down Alt, and it turns into a minus. And then the plus, and then the minus. So I can just hold down Alt, and it gives me that opposite key. You don't need to get the white. I'm just getting it because it'll be more consistent. Click off. Most of the stuff I think I don't want is clicked off. Again, go to the next letter. That looks pretty good. It grabbed his head a little bit, so I'm going to just click off of that using Alt. The white I'm not going to worry about, but I do want this little bit of letter back here because that will complete the kind of illusion that we're giving. All right, and then I want the little bit of the letter back here. I want all this stuff. And I want the little bit of the letter back here, but not his face. So this is just a quick selection tool. It grabs kind of the whole area. Again, this is W. It's right here, quick selection tool. W on the keyboard is the shortcut. All right, now I have that pretty well done. So now what I can do is now that it's all selected, from here, I can go to Adjustments, Black and White, and make a mask. Notice, though, it just made the letters black and white. That's not what we want. There's two ways you could fix that. One is if I did that, if I went to Adjustments, Black and White, I could do on the keyboard Control-I, which will invert the black and white mask. Or, if I want to do it a different way, I have my letters selected, and down here, I could just say select the invert. So invert the selection, then go to my adjustments, then black and white. So many different ways to get to the same result. Now, that's looking pretty good. However, I don't love that the Crusaders feels a little bit dull to me. And if this is like, imagine this is an advertisement or something that we're trying to create. If that looks dull, the viewer's not going to be brought into it. And again, I want them to be looking at the Crusaders. I want that to be nice and bright. That's the point of the assignment. So what I'm going to do is on this lower layer, I'm going to make another adjustment layer. And this one's going to be a hue and saturation layer. A hue and saturation layer just allows you to adjust the saturation, the lightness, and the hue. The hue is the literal color. So check this out. I could like change the color, which is kind of cool. So like Crusaders can suddenly be like pink and orange. This is a great way if you ever want to change like hair color. But I'm going to undo that. I want to keep it gold. So what I'm going to adjust is the saturation, which is like how rich the color is, right? So I'm going to go up here on the saturation, and you'll notice it's getting nice and bright. And I'm really digging that like almost yellow. I don't want to make it totally yellow. Like this is too much to me. I want to push it to right about there. Now the lightness will affect kind of the overall picture. So you can play with that all you want. It won't just affect that masked area. So just be aware of that. Okay, I'm liking that. The last thing I would do on this image is I would crop it. I like that. I like this. I don't really want that area above it. There we go. And now this would be a really cool magazine layout. However, we missed a shoulder there. So we can fix that pretty easily, right? Under our mask, we go B for brush. I come in here, use my brush tool, and just draw carefully. These are little things that will make your photography a lot better if you spend that extra bit of time and just make sure it's looking really, really sharp. So, and if I go outside of it, right, I can just do that opposite. And there we go. And again, some folks would just be like, oh, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do all those little things. But again, that's ultimately what's going to differentiate really good photography that makes people go like, wow, that's really well done. It's very intentional, and photography that just feels haphazard or feels kind of fake, which we're in a world where a lot of our art is faked. So we want to watch out for that for sure. And then I got some green in there, so I want to get rid of that green. The white is fine. It's, you know, you could make it all gray. Like that's gray versus white is very different. And here we had some like green leaching into it. So I'm actually going to paint away that as well, because I don't want that green at all. I'm not sure why I'm getting that green cast, but I don't want it. So I'm just going to go around each letter and clean it up. And if I mess up a little bit, I can always undo it and then go back through. So, you know, when you do these edits, it's going to take you a little bit of time, but, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, I find it kind of relaxing. Go through here. His hair must have been kind of golden from the sun. And so we're going to fix that, get rid of that green, but I just got rid of some yellow, some gold. Do that, make this nice and small. There you go. Okay. There we go. So that's our final result here. Again, that the opening image is this, and now it's this. And again, the point of this assignment, the color isolation idea, is that you really make people look at like a focal point, something that they should be looking at. Now, the other example I had in Lightroom, if I went to this one's like easy, right? Like I can easily make this one, nice and pop and all that kind of stuff. I think it's much less meaningful than the Crusaders running. That's a cool way to brand it and all that kind of stuff. This one, much easier though. We could just go in here again, adjustments. We can go black and white, and then we could use our brush here. I'm not even sure I need a mask. I also don't have those hard edges, and I could just start painting it in, and I'm going to bring back that like really purple look here. Now, again, I might get to these edges and it might be a pain, so maybe I do want to put a mask over it, but, it's pretty straightforward. Let's see what would happen if I did a quick mask. Let's go to here, Quick selection tool. It's not bad. In this case, I might actually opt for the object selection tool. What's cool about the object selection tool is it will try to kind of understand what you want here. So see how it actually grabbed like all of this. So if I click on that, it's going to do a pretty good job of grabbing all that. And then, as we know, I can just go adjustments, black and white, boom, pops it out. Obviously, it's the wrong way. So if I go right click, invert. Oh, it's not there. So notice it's not available. So Control I. There we go. And that's about how fast you can do that kind of an edit. Yeah, that's fine. There's nothing like exciting about that image, to be honest. It's a nice flower or whatever. Versus this one tells more about the image, and I think that might be more worthwhile doing. But I'll leave that to you. That's up to you. But that's how to do it. It's very straightforward. Again, you can do some basic stuff in Lightroom. It's also pretty quick. And you can do some things with masks. I just find Photoshop to be a lot more precise. And I think working within the layers is a little bit more helpful. All right, good luck.